Alan, you've been tinkering again, haven't you?
You know me, Tom. I can't afford a telly at home, so where I live, there ain't much electricity around in our village, so we have to tinker on an evening. So this is, I'm just gonna, it's just something I do. It's nothing to say it's right and it's wrong, but it's something I do, and it's something that I got asked a couple of times because I've been down at Ferry Meadows and just fished Phil Ringer's 3-day festival this weekend,
Hmm.
and it's been brilliant. We've had a very good weekend. But a lot of it is chucking between 50 to 60 meters, and you're using a bait up rod to put initial bait in, and you're not just putting a couple of feederfuls in, you're putting on average between 10 to 18 feederfuls in at start. So you're giving them some bait because when they do turn up, on average, some of them breeding this week have been knocking 8 and 9 pounders
Big
on that
fish.
big fish. On average, they've been £5 to £6 a piece of fish. So you've got to put some bait in for them. But a couple of people have come up to me after the match and said, "What feeders are you using for your bait up? Because you've made the bait up look relatively easy doing it." And I says, "Well, I use I use a bait hook rod, but I says I don't use a bait hook rod as in the rods what you're using. It like they were using £3 test
Proper
curve,
carp rod.
like a cart rod or the spod rod or something like that. Now, for me, I can't compress them. They are big lumps of rods, but I haven't brought it with me today, but we will do a feature on it, and we'll show you my setup for my bait hook feeder. But I'm using at the moment one of the new Preston Ascension extreme distance rods, and
Right.
it's basically a feeder rod. It's 13 foot 2, but it's 180 gram casting weight. It's stiff as a brush.
Right. Okay.
But I use it just with one tip in it, a 6 ounce tip, but I can compress it because it's softer than a bait up rod. I can compress it better so I can actually get the distance. It's 3 piece as well, so it packs away nice and easy into my Odal. I ain't got a 12 or a 13 foot 2 piece stuck out at the end of my Odal. So it ticks all the boxes for me. But I will do at some stage a video on my setup as well. But uh, when people come to ask me, I says that is only part of the reason that I make it look easier than what it is. I'm not the best caster in the world by all means, but I always try to make things as easy as I can for myself. So I use these as well, the Guru bait up feeders. I think these are the best feeders for the job. Basically because you can change the weights on them. So you don't have to carry millions of different feeders, but you can carry quite a lot of weights. So you're cutting down on one, which is the feeders, but you've got your weights with you. Now, you can get these with your standard leads on, like 20 gram, 30 gram, 40 gram, and 50 gram. Now, with some of these bait up rods, like I say, what lads are using, like a spod rod or a cart rod, the 2.5, 2 3/4 pound test curve, they need some compressing. And even if you put a 30, 40, 50 gram weight onto them rods, you're still not compressing enough to cast the distance. You just can't make the rod work. Whereas that's why I started using now an heavy feeder rod, and I can compress it and make it go further. But the main difference is my weights. Now, as I say, the standard weights that come on the Guru feeders are fantastic because they just twist on and off. Um, I don't know if that one will. That one definitely won't because I've glued that one on, I think. Oh no, I ain't. That one they just come on and off like that. So you can carry one feeder, but you can have 4 or 5 different weights for it. So you can have a 20 gram, a 30 gram, a 40 gram, and a 50 gram weight, which is perfect in 90% of the times that we go fishing and the distances that we're fishing. But certain days and certain conditions, you need to up that. As in, big waters like Ferry Meadows, you're chucking 50, 60, 70, 80 metres at times. You get a big crosswind on, and no matter how hard you try to get, even with a 50 gram feeder, for it to go 60 metres in a straight line is hard. For anybody, I don't care what your name is. To make it go there 18 times on trot straight is hard. So, what I do, two things. That is the standard feeder. like a 6 or 7 hole. A couple of them I cut down and make them 5 hole, like that. I also do change the strings on them, and I make the strings a little bit longer.
Why is that?
Because that's a little bit this is only my opinion. That's a little bit suppler than the string that comes, or the line that comes on the Guru wants to start with, and it's longer. So when you're filling them, it goes out the way dead easy, and I can just get my fingers in like that, and I'm back out. Whereas I'm not having to make sure I get my fingers underneath the line. So I make them longer, and they just flop about then. So that's my thing. So that's one thing. If you're struggling, make your feeders a little bit smaller. All that is the same feeder, but just cut down 2 holes on that one. So that was a 7, and it's now a 5, and they're good as well. Them 5-hole ones like that for topping up. So you don't have to. You can just do 2 or 3 quick casts with a bit smaller one, but it's still more than what you'd be putting in with your normal feeder. But here's the main difference. With these feeders, as I say, the weights what you get on them are only a certain size. And in an ideal world, them are the ideal weights. But on the odd days when you're in Ireland, you're at Ferry Meadows, you're at Bow Beach, you're at Barston, you want to go extreme fishing, but you've got them big crosswinds on. Them weights aren't heavy enough to cast your feeder in a straight line. So what I have done, this is where my tinkering comes in again now, look Tom.
Yeah.
I've glued 2 weights together.
Ah.
So now, that one's an 80 grammer.
Yeah.
It's just the same weights, and all they are is I've sat one on top of other and glued it.
Araldite.
I don't use Araldite, I use that. I've even brought that because we will be getting some people texting and saying, what glue did you use for your feeders? It's brilliant, is this? No, this is dearer than Araldite. This is Devcon, and it's like a 2-pack. You have to just mix 50-50.
Yeah.
But when it goes as hard as nails. It don't discolour either. It's completely waterproof, and it's as strong as out you can get, is that. And basically all I've done is sat one on top of other, put some glue in between it, and then I've smeared some round the edges as well, so I ain't got a hope for it to catch on where the 2 are joined. So that is the glue that I use, which you can get off Amazon, and I don't know about many shops that sell it. I get it off Amazon, but one of my pals told me about that many years ago, and it's absolutely fantastic. But that one I've glued together, look, that's 80 grams now.
Absolutely perfect.
That one I've done a 50 and a 20, so I've got a 70 grammer. I've done, there's some more somewhere. What's that one? That's another 70 grammer I've done. You don't have to do millions of them, because you don't always need a big massive weight. And I've done a 60 grammer. That might be one on my feeder in my Odor or something. But that's a normal 50 grammer, look. And a lot of time, that's a big weight on a feeder anyway. But there's certain days, and if you do use, like I say, like a spod rod type thing, you're not compressing it enough, even if the conditions are right. Yeah. Up your weights on your feeder. And that is a brilliant way of upping your weights, so you can achieve what you want to do. And because you're chucking it further, and it still hits your clip, it don't go in like a cannonball anyway. It hits your clip, and it plops in quite nicely anyway, and don't make a big daft splash, which you think it would do. Sometimes it goes in quieter than a 20 grammer, because it's still hitting your clip, and at the distance it drops in. But try it. If you're struggling to get to where you want to be, glue some weights together onto the bottom of your Guru bait ups, and it definitely makes a difference.
Love it.